Why being on the fringe can sometimes be a good thing. We'll have details next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter. Welcome to City Corner. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about being on the fringe, and here to explain is Matthew Kern. He's the executive director of St Lou Fringe. Hi, Matthew. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So I always felt a little bit on the fringe growing up, but I always thought that was a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing. It's a great thing to be on the outside of something, the cutting edge part of it. So fringe festivals, all the way back to Edinburgh, what happened is the Edinburgh Theatre Festival is juried, and they took a collective of artists and said, your work is not going to play in this festival. So they literally went to the outskirt of it and formed the fringe. They formed their own festival.
Well, for those people who have never heard of this before, explain what a fringe festival is.
So what we do is the fringe festivals give platform to new artists, locally, regionally, nationally.
Performing artists, we should say.
Performing artists. And as well as visual artists, actually. And so what we do is we give you an empty stage, and you have the opportunity to take a piece of art that you've created and give it a platform.
Well, before we go any further with this, you have some exciting new additions to the festival, which is coming up next year. We just want to mention that a little bit. We've got some graphics too. Tell me about this first one.
Okay, so the first one is Count Time. So Elizabeth Townsend premiered this show at our festival, not this year, but the year before. And it's an original work about the life and times of Patricia Pruitt, who is imprisoned in a Missouri prison for life. And they are now taking this show out on the road, and it's going to tour to colleges and universities and community centers throughout the state of Missouri.
So that'll be at the festival in 2018.
This one has already been at the festival, but it's now going out on tour. It started at our festival, and it's a perfect example of how we incubate a piece of art and it starts to grow from us.
Yeah, I've read a lot about that one. Let's move ahead.
The Gringo. Now this will be our local headline act at the 2018 Fringe Festival next August. So Colin Healy, who's a local artist, has written and produced this musical. He's done a reading of it over at Coca, and now we're bringing it to the stages of the Fringe where it will have its world premiere.
And there's another new one.
Yep, The End of the Road is our national headline act for next year. So these two guys, Michael Tahini and Tyler, are coming from North Carolina. And this is a show about the secession of the Conch Republic in Florida. I believe in the late 80s, 1980s. And what they're gonna do is they're working on it now already with us. And we're gonna cast the ensemble in North Carolina, and we're gonna cast the leads here in St. Louis. And then we're gonna bring those two companies together to make one show that'll happen at the Grandel Theater down in Grand Center next year.
Now, when we're talking about performances at St. Lou Fringe, they're not, lengthwise, they're not like a normal theater performance. You don't go in for 3 hours and 2 acts.
Right. So what we do, except with our headline acts are now fully realized shows through our new format, but everything else is an hour. So you get 1 hour in and out to set it up, do it, break it down, and move on.
Well, the Fringe Festival in St. Louis runs 7 days every year.
Yeah.
So how many shows generally do you squeeze into those 7 days?
Last year we had over 90 plus performances and 27 producers. So we always range between 27 and 32 producers depending upon how it shakes out. And those are broke down by national artists, invited artists, and completely lottery based folks, and local folks, of course.
Matthew, you mentioned the Fringe Festival concept beginning in Scotland. I think it was back in 1947, if I have the year right.
Yeah.
What's the story? How did all that start?
So, like I said earlier, there was a collective of artists who were told that their work wasn't going to be accepted into the Edinburgh Theatre Festival. They went to the perimeter.
Because it was too much on the fringe?
Because it was not something that the Edinburgh Theatre Festival felt like was worthy of being seen by the audiences. So they went to the edges of it and founded their own festival that was completely open, and the stages were bare, and you could bring whatever you wanted, and it was accepted and welcomed.
And that slowly caught on all around the globe.
All around the globe. We are a proud member of the North American Fringe Association. There's a Canadian organization of fringe festivals, and of course there's still our grandfather, the Edinburgh.
So how did the St. Lou Fringe Festival start? That was before you were on the scene.
Many years before I was on the scene, we had our founder, Ed Reggie, came together and made the Fringe Festival for several years in the beginning of the century, and then decided to take a hiatus from it. And right around 2011, our second leader, M. Piro, showed up, and she took it over and made it what most people know it to be today. And then 2 years ago, I took it over, and we are now we've changed the format again from what M was doing, and now we're what I call a hybrid festival. So we have 3 headline acts: a local, a national, and a late night. And we also have a handful of invited artists who are folks who have been at the Fringe before, who have been working on a specific piece that we invite in. And then we have our lottery-based artists who are pulled out of a fishbowl.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that always work?
Yeah, I mean, it always works. You never know what you're going to get from it, but it always produces the most curious work.
Yeah.
This past year, we had somebody pulled from the fishbowl who brought a show about her journey with infertility. And it was funny and tragic and had vagina sock puppets that she made.
I remember talking about that on,
Yeah,
on the
right.
radio. Yes.
Yeah.
Won't forget that one.
And it was a beautiful and charming hit that a lot of people related to,
Yeah.
because a lot of families and couples have gone through this
Right.
and really understood the importance of this story and being able to laugh at it and cry with Danielle.
So what are the dates for the festival next year?
Next year we start, I believe, August 16th, and we go for 9 days.
Is this an all-year thing for you between the Fringe weeks? I mean, do you work on this all year?
I work on it all year with my staff and my team, and we also have a few moments of time throughout the year where we do what we call our Fringe Monthly series. So we'll reprise our Fringe Meisters act, which this year was the Tesseract Theater Company, and a show called Hot for T-Rex. And then we also will do a couple of fundraisers that lead up to the festival, including our very large hit one called Act Your Pants Off.
Let's look at some images we have from past Fringe festivals.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I imagine there's a story to go with each of them. This is St. Lou Fringe, and we're talking with the executive director, Matthew Kearns.
So this is our first ever local headline act. This is Era, which is Lucy Cashin's company, and they did an adaptation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves this past year at the Grandel Theater. So those are the dwarves, and that's Snow White.
Let's go to another one.
Yeah, and there's the Wicked Witch, and they did all this great video work. So the magic mirror would be displayed, and she would be speaking in tandem with it.
Well, go ahead and comment on this before we go on.
Yeah, okay, so.
Because I know who that is.
That is the great Donna Weinstein, and we did a short piece for the Midnight Company, and they did a piece called Trumpelstiltskin, which was based on Rumpelstiltskin, but through the lens of Donald Trump.
She does a good job on that. She's a
does
very
an
well-known
amazing job.
local actress. A lot
Yeah.
of people probably know about. 3 things about St. Lou Fringe that I would just want you to comment on. I think these are points that you make. Number 1, that it's uncensored.
That's right.
So should I be worried about taking someone there?
I don't think so, because we do a good job of showing you what's family friendly and what may not be family friendly.
And you know before you walk in the door.
You know you know when you walk in the door what you're expecting. And so we're really clear about that, but we also don't want to tell an artist you can't do something, because that's really stifling their creativity. And we want to give them the opportunity to tell tough stories or tell stories that are a little more body that they might not get on another stage. That's the gift that the Fringe brings to the community.
But just to be clear, though, not everything would be risque. There might be other performances that totally are not.
Totally. We actually have a whole family series. So we do a Fringe Family Day in the middle of the festival that is music and plays and different carnival booths that's completely driven and geared towards families.
Let's take a look at a few more of the images from past Fringe festivals.
This was Act Your Pants Off this last year. We were lucky enough.
That's not you, is it?
That is me, yeah, cracking up laughing because these two were so funny together. That, of course, is international burlesque dancer Lola Vanella, who is a hometown favorite of ours. And Desire's Decline is the lovely drag queen next to her.
What was their show about?
So this was Act Your Pants Off. So they hosted it, and this we ask local actors to come together and really take their clothes off for a good cause, which is the Fringe.
Let's take a look at another one.
Yep, there's another shot of Lola performing. She's an amazing singer as well.
She's got a reputation.
She's got a great reputation. She was just all over Europe touring and is coming back now and doing a bunch of stuff here in St. Louis again.
Let's move ahead.
So this is, again, from our night of the Brothers Grimm. This is O'Fallon Theater Works. So we are really thrilled that folks from outside of the city are coming in to be a part of our organization and celebrate theater throughout the entire region. So these guys came in and they did a Hansel and Gretel.
Let's look at the next one.
And these were our two hosts for that night of Rumpelstiltskin, these two yahoos who played the Brothers Grimm.
And one more.
And that is our head of Fringe Family. That's Tracy Bono. And that's Tadashi, who is a local top spinner that you can see all over the city of St. Louis, who always comes to Fringe and always spins tops to dazzle the kids.
I don't know a lot about the Fringe Festival, but when I kind of look over who's performing in it, it wouldn't necessarily be a lot of well-known St. Louis. Donna, of course, was one.
Yep.
But will we see a lot of people maybe we've never heard of?
You'll see people you've never heard of, you'll see first-time producers, and then you'll see people like Donna and Elizabeth Townsend, who are very well-established artists in our community. So it runs the gamut, and that's something that I love. When, like, for example, 2 years ago, Dan Vigors came, and he did a show called Big Hair, Big Dreams, the mini Donald Trump musical. Right? And mini Donald Trump was a puppet. And it was a great hit. People were in election mode, and it really spoke to them. And last year, he came back and still riffing on that political idea and making this name for himself in this genre that he wants to play in, made a piece called Liberals versus Zombies versus Conservatives, a musical about the three of them all getting trapped in a house together.
Is it important, I don't know how to ask this, is it important that the subject matters at the Fringe Festival are timely? Do they have to be timely? Like that one about politics would be, but are they all necessarily that way?
They are and they aren't. They run the gamut. Elizabeth this past year did a new show that had just been at the Minneapolis Fringe and then at the Public where it started, called On the Exhale, which was about a fictitious mother who was the mother of a Sandy Hook victim and had decided to get a gun, the same gun that killed her child, and learn how to shoot it. And it's a really powerful piece, but very timely. And on the same line, if you look ahead, there's some very kind of classic written plays that feel very standard, that are new works, that are not necessarily about timeliness, but they're just new. Yeah.
Well, we need to take a little break, Matthew.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll share some more pictures we have from past Fringe festivals and talk about what's ahead for St. Lou Fringe. So we'll be right back with more City Corner after this.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Hi, welcome back to City Corner. I'm Steve Potter. We're talking with Matthew Kearns. He's the executive director of St. Lou Fringe, which is an annual event which brings together, how would you describe it?
I would say that we bring community together, everyone from grassroots through international artists to have 9 days of celebrated new performing arts here in the city of St. Louis.
And so what's it like during that week, which is going to be in August next year, the week for St. Lou Fringe? What's it like for the people who attend? What's the atmosphere like? You're at multiple venues. Can you kind of paint a picture of what's going on?
Yeah, so there's a lot of buzz about, hey, what'd you see? Where are you going? There's a lot of bouncing from one theater to the next theater to the next theater, stopping at the Fringe family that's in the park. And
It's all mostly around Grand Center, right?
it's all in Grand Center. We are a proud member of the Kransberg Arts Foundation. So almost all of our venues, except our one pop-up gallery, are Kransberg theaters.
Three things that I want to ask you about. In the first segment, we talked about being uncensored. That's one of the characteristics of the Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
Also, another point you like to make is it's easy to participate in.
It is. You have to fill out an application, and then we open them up, and everybody goes into a fishbowl who has not already been invited and or our headline acts, and we have a big event where we pull names out of the hat, and you're in.
Well, how many acts submit for a typical year?
Last year, we had about 75 acts submit. Yep,
And you used how many?
27.
Wow. And how about the audience too, the size of the audience? I'm sure that's grown over the years.
It has. This past year, we were up right around over 2,000 audience members. So we're really making headway and getting the name of the festival out there and getting the message of the festival out there, which is come support your local artists, national artists that are making new work.
And most shows you say run about an hour, except for the couple of big ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In and out. They put it up, they do it, they move on.
Do people see more than one show in a day, or how do people kind of plan it?
Oh, sure. Well, people see, so you can buy a pass to see everything, and then you'll see people there that are there every day, 6 and 7 hours a day, just bouncing from show to show to show to show.
Wow.
Yeah, and popping into, the taco place down in Grand Center to get a fast taco before they go back and see some more. I mean, it's like Art Palooza. It's so great. And then we have this awesome partnership with Artica. And Artica comes in and builds sculpture in the park during the festival. So we also have a lovely visual arts component as well.
And did you pick August because of the weather? Is that why?
So lovely in August. We picked August because a lot of theaters are dark at that time, so it gives more access to artists, and we're not competing with them, but it also is a good time when there's an influx of college kids coming back in, so those folks who are your next generation artists and wanting to make work are back in the city and here at a time when they can go witness the work and or produce in the festival themselves.
All right, let's take a look at some more images we have from past St. Lou Fringe festivals.
This is Fringe Family. So this kiddo is 14 years old, and she is in like an 80s hair band, cover band. And they played on our main stage, and I got out of the car and I heard Helter Skelter playing. And I was like, well, where's that coming from? And it was coming from our stage, and I ran into her dad, and I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, my kid loves this music, and so I wanted to support her, so we helped her form a band. And I love, that's the story, This kid is being celebrated for her artistic interests, and her parents are there, and her family is there cheering her on, and it's a great, great experience for her.
She looked like she's got something to offer there.
Totally.
Yeah, let's look at the next one.
This is the 2017 Fringe Meister show, Hot for T-Rex. So there is a whole genre of people out there that are into this thing called dino sex, and this story is about them.
Should I ask more questions about
I
this?
mean, it's pretty much what I got, but it will reprise, and it's a beautiful show. So this is the actor Brittany Gunn. She's also a director in town, and she does a beautiful job telling this one-woman show. And it'll be reprised right around sometime in January, and I would encourage everybody to come out and see it because the playwright, who is our Fringe Meister, Taylor Grunlow, is a beautiful playwright who's really on the rise.
Let's look at the next one.
There you go. That's Danielle Marie. And that is her show about infertility.
Okay,
Inconceivable.
one more.
This is one of our volunteers. And that is a great photo because that is our mascot. The official mascot of the St. Lou Fringe Festival is the flamingo. Yep, he's a fringe flamingo.
Is that her hand, though?
That is her hand. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a face painter there who made a flamingo on her hand. And the way that we show people around is we get pink flamingos and we spray paint them the different colors of the flags, and we stick them in the ground so that people have a wayfinder. And that's exactly why the flamingo is who he is.
Someone did that as a joke to me once. I woke up one morning, there were 4 plastic pink flamingos in my front yard.
That's
I'll never
awesome.
forget that. Wasn't you, was it?
No, maybe.
Okay.
I can't tell
I'm glad
you.
you showed that. We showed that picture of the volunteer, though, because I went to the St. Lou Fringe Festival website, and there were some stories about people, including a volunteer.
Absolutely. We are proud to have a host of volunteers throughout our year who come together to do essentially community service by helping us put the festival on, and they help us take tickets, they help us do curtain speeches, they help us do everything that we need. There's so many hands. It really does take a village to make this thing run, and we would be nothing without our team and our volunteers.
How would someone get involved in that?
They just gotta go to the website, and there's a button that they can click and say, I'm interested in volunteering, contact one of us, stop us on the street, and really just say, hey, I want to get involved. We will absolutely let you.
As far as acts or volunteers wanting to be involved in the 2018 festival, is there a time limit there where they have to get involved?
You can volunteer at any time, and we'll find a place for you. Our acts, we go live right around January 15th, and we'll have our application process open for a month. And at the end of that month, we'll close it down, and those are the acts that have submitted, and those are the acts that will be put into the fishbowl and pulled out for the 2018 festival.
Let's take a look at some more images we have from past St. Lou Fringe festivals. You can explain what's going on.
John Michael.
There's a story there.
Yeah, this is Meatball Seance. So John Michael is a Chicago artist who came down to share his story with us about making his mother's meatball recipe so he can conjure her spirit up from the dead to approve of his outfit and his new boyfriend.
So would this be a comedy?
It's definitely a comedy. Yeah, it was a great time. I mean, it's great.
Let's look at the next one.
Oh, there I am. So he invited me up on stage to share a beer with him and his dead mother.
How'd that go?
Successful. I mean, yeah, it worked. We had a schlafly. I was happy about it.
Let's look at the next one.
This is Matthew Markham. So Matthew Markham came from San Francisco, and this is a parable about Jackson Pollock. And so what was happening in this, behind you, you can see a little bit of the video. They're playing videos of Jackson Pollock painting, and Matthew's making an original sound score that sounds like a rock opera over this, and it's projecting through him. It's the most dynamic and exciting piece of work I've seen in such a long time, and it's very non-story related, so that's exciting to me, and it's just about being in the moment with him and hearing and feeling the feelings that he believes are emoted through Jackson Pollock's work.
Tell me a little bit more about the venues again. They're all in Grand Center. Are some of these really small venues? Are we going to walk into a big crowded theater? Or maybe is it a dark little space and there'll be 20 people there? What's it like?
Yeah, so that one you just saw is a dark little space. So that's Duet Gallery that we annually turn into a pop-up theater, and we always change the shape of it. We always change the feel of it. One year we made it a very traditional, like proscenium theater. Last year we left it totally raw, and we threw some chairs in there and some lights in there and left the echo of it. And it was beautiful, especially for that piece of work, because it just made that sound so much more poignant.
Are rehearsals for all these shows, are they all done at the same time? Did people do all that before you start organizing? Or are the rehearsals going on while you're setting up the festival? Or can you explain that?
Well, I would hope they're rehearsing before the festival.
Right.
So, right. The thing that I know about it is once they're in, they're already making the work. The work has already been established, at least the ceiling of it. And so they're working on it the entire time. And when they get to the festival, they have one tech rehearsal that's 2 hours. And so they get 2 hours in the space to feel it out, get all of their stuff and their cues in line and their props in line and kind of run through the thing. And that's it. And then they go. So it's really got to be kind of a well-oiled machine before it ever gets to the festival so that it just plugs right in and you're ready to start performing.
We were talking earlier, you were identifying some of the people we were looking at, and they were from out of town. What is the participation like from out of town? How many people are local and how many aren't?
I'd say that we're about 70-30. So 70% of our folks are local artists, which is thrilling to me. I love our community, and I'm so proud of the work that they make. And everybody else comes from the regional and national scene and even international at points.
In the beginning of the program, we talked about some of the new shows coming up, and I just kind of want to review what we talked about a minute ago. There was 2 shows that are going to be new for next year, and one that I think was at last year's festival is going to go on the road.
The Count Time. So the Count Time is going on the road, and we're so very happy for Elizabeth Townsend because she's going to go out there and continue telling this really important tale of
I remember
Patty Pruitt.
reading a lot about that. It was a fascinating story about this woman, and a lot of people think maybe she got a raw deal.
She got a raw deal. So I think I remember that she's in prison for, I want to say like crime of passion, and the story has so much circumstantial evidence in her case, but she's in jail until until 2036, and she's been there since I think the 80s. So it's such a long time, and really this story tells the tale of her being wrongly incarcerated and is trying to help her be exonerated and
And who
freed.
knows, someday this might have an effect on that.
We certainly
she
hope
might
so.
be pardoned someday for all we know.
Yeah.
Let's look at the 2 things coming up
Yes, the
in
Gringo.
the festival next year.
So the Gringo will be next year. It's our local headline act. It'll be at the Dot Zack Theater in Grand Center. And what will happen with the Gringo is Colin Healy will bring his original show, a musical, to life for the first time in a fully realized production.
And who is the Gringo?
That's what you got to wait and find
You
out.
won't tell me?
No, of course not. I don't want to ruin it.
All right, we got one more here.
And the end of the road. The story of the secession of the Conch Republic in Florida. It's also a musical. It's very funny. It's a cast of 25. And
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a real thing that happened. That's what's fascinating to me. This is a real footnote in our history. There really was an opportunity for a piece of southern Florida to secede and become their own nation for about 10 minutes of time.
And Key West would be a good place to do that.
Right. So there are like 6 drag queens in this show. Yeah, it's like amazing.
It says something on the top of that poster about Hamilton. Have you seen it yet?
No, I have my ticket though.
Did you? I've read some unbelievable prices.
Well, I didn't pay an unbelievable price, but I paid a price. But I got in, and it was, the Fox did a great job. I went right into a virtual waiting room, 5 minutes, I had a ticket.
Well, good. You're looking forward to that, I bet.
I'm looking super forward to it.
Hey, really quick before we're out of time, what about this drama club thing you're involved in?
Oh, so I am the founder of the Drama Club STL. We are an educational company that does educational work and educational classes for kids and adults, and we are moving right now. We started in Maplewood, and we are happily on our way to Ferguson, Missouri.
Well, Matthew Kearns, thank you so much for previewing St Lou Fringe Festival 2018 with us. We'll look forward to that in August. We hope people will go to your website. Keep up the great work. And I love your socks, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I'm Steve Potter. That's all the time we have for City Corner today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.